Hey, what's up? This is Jordan Harris, and you're watching Sports Truth. So today we're going to be going into our championship odds meter. So this is a segment that we're doing where we go through and give every team that's either a competitor, like a real contender to win a championship, or maybe they just have a superstar who has the ability to lift their team, like Kawhi did with the Raptors a couple years ago. So we'll give a letter grade based on how realistic their chances of winning the championship are this year. The first thing we'll do in this video is we'll go over the reasons why they could win a championship. Then we'll go over the reasons why they probably won't win a championship. And then at the end, I'll give the letter grade on the championship odds meters. Okay, so the team we're covering today is the San Antonio Spurs. The reasons why they could win a championship this year, obviously, it's Victor Wembanyama. The dude is pretty ridiculous. So I've had a chance to watch maybe five of his games now, a couple of them in preseason. I had some real concerns before he got into the NBA, so I was watching his games overseas. And when I watched his games overseas, the concerns that I had was I didn't know if he'd be able to keep up with the physicality. Because if you watch those games when he was playing, whatever that team, I can't even think of what that team name was over there. But when he was playing on that team, they did not seem very physical at all. But the people who were physical with him, it seemed like they had a tremendous impact on it. So that had me a little concerned. And then also, I didn't know if he'd be able to keep up with the increased athleticism that is in the NBA that you just don't see in Greece or France or anywhere else. You don't see this level of physicality and athleticism. All right, so those are my concerns. But after watching a couple of his preseason games and then watching some of his regular season games, I think he's gonna be just fine. The only thing that I think he's got to struggle with, that he's going to struggle with, is being a little more aggressive as far as knowing that he is the best player on the team and he needs to shoot the most shots. That's what I think he's struggling with more than anything. Um, so with Victor Wembanyama, he's proven to me in a short amount of time that he is a tough shot maker, and you don't see a whole lot of those people who can make tough shots on a consistent basis. And he's shown me that he actually can do that. And I think the main reason why is because hell, the dude is 7'3", 7'4". He's able to shoot over people, but he's able to make shots through contact. He's able to make shots fading away. Like he's shown me all make shots off the dribble, making shots step back. So the fact that he can do all of that, that made me go like, oh yeah, he might be a problem real soon, a lot sooner than I expected. Also, like Victor makes people think about stuff playing basketball that they have never thought about their entire lives. So most people who are in the NBA, they're like what 25, 26 years old, and they've been playing basketball since they were 5 or 6 years old. So they've been playing for like 20 years. Most of them have never dealt with somebody who's standing behind the three-point line, passes it to the wing, and then immediately points up to the goal, like throw the oop. When I saw Victor do that, I'm like, that's nuts. Like, I couldn't believe he did that. But he threw the ball to the wing, and he took one step across three-point line and put his hand up, like throw it up. And the dude threw it up there. Victor went and got it and put it in the basket. And I was like, I don't think anybody has done that in the NBA. In the history of the NBA, I don't think anybody's done that before, where they pass and just point up. Like that was unless they're on a fast break, obviously, but that was crazy. He seems like he wants to block everything, and he's not getting in foul trouble for overreacting to blocks. And part of the reason why he's able to do that is because since he's like a foot taller than some people in the NBA, he has a whole foot of leeway that he can give people. So he waits for them to get off of their feet before he has to jump. Rather than them pump faking and he jumps, he can actually wait for you to get in the air because he has a head start. He's a foot taller than you. So he wants to block everything, and he's been really successful at it so far. But since he does block everything, it makes people think outside of what they typically have to think in their 20 years of playing basketball. So now people are like, I saw people with pads holding them up in the air trying to make themselves tall like Victor Wembanyama. And then I saw somebody on NBA TV with lacrosse sticks holding them up in the air acting like Victor Wembanyama. So people are starting to think instead of just the typical shot blocker, they're like, oh, this dude is a whole 6 inches taller than the typical person. So I need to bring out a pad to make myself taller so the NBA players have to shoot over this in practice. That kind of stuff people are just not used to dealing with. Also, he makes people think of things that they haven't thought of as far as the way that he's able to guard multiple positions at the exact same time. So I saw him guarding the ball. He got screened, so then they switched. But during the switch, he guarded the person that rolled to the basket. So he had his hand back. Then he had his hand up on the person who was actually he switched to. So he's able to guard this person and block the shot, or I guess defend the shot. And then he's also able to steal this ball back here. And if the person just so happens to pass the ball to the cutter, he's able to recover and block that shot too. So the fact that he could cover a whole pick and roll almost by himself was crazy to me. So that's the first reason why they should be able to win a championship is Victor Wembanyama. The second reason is Greg Popovich. So he's got 5 rings right now. He's potentially the best coach of all time. So he's seen a little bit of everything. He's done a little bit of everything. He has really good experience coaching people from overseas with Manu Ginobili, with Tony Parker. So he's able to do that. He's able to connect with all these different players in all of these different ways. And he has experience, like actually working with somebody who was a number 1 overall pick, and they've got high expectations, talking about Tim Duncan. And we've seen what he was able to do with Tim Duncan. So that's the second reason why they should be able to win a championship this year. So let's go into the reasons why they probably won't win a championship. And the number 1 reason is Greg Popovich, believe it or not. So he's one of the reasons why they should and one of the reasons why they won't. And the reason why I say that one of the reasons why they may not is because Greg Popovich is going through the same thing that Bill Belichick is going through right now. So he had his star player leave, which was Tim Duncan, and then in Bill Belichick, it was Tom Brady. And then after they leave, they both went drastically down. So I think the Spurs have had losing seasons, I think, the last 4 years. And that almost perfectly coincides with the time that Tim Duncan left. And then also with Bill Belichick, as soon as Tom Brady left, they're not getting back to the playoffs. They can't even get to 500. So now people are starting to wonder, is it Greg Popovich, is it Bill Belichick, or is it Tim Duncan, and is it Tom Brady? Like, are they really good coaches, or do they just so happen to have really good players? So that's something that we're having to figure out right now. And then another part that's really similar to what Bill Belichick is going through is the changing of the way that the styles has evolved over time. So in the NFL, there's less running, there's more throwing. So that's not really in Bill Belichick's forte. Bill Belichick is a defensive-minded coach, and now there's so many penalties against the defense that it allows offenses to do everything. Popovich, he comes from a time where there's 2 bigs, David Robinson, Tim Duncan. You can throw it down to one or the other, and they score. Now it's getting to where, like, all you want to do is shoot 3-pointers all game, every day. And that's the only way that you could possibly win, it seems, is if you just outshoot the other team. So it almost looks like the NBA is moving past Greg Popovich. I'm hoping that's not the case, but the jury is out, like, big time on him right now. The second reason why they may not win a championship this year is they seem like they don't understand the pecking order on the court. It seems like the pecking order is all wrong. Devin Vassell, I think is how you pronounce his name. The way that we would describe him is he's never seen a shot that he don't like. Like, he shoots it every time he gets it, whether it's 1 second on the shot clock or 18 seconds on the shot clock. As soon as he get it, if he gets an ounce, if he gets like a little view of the goal, he putting it up there. My man he shoots too much. I'm just being honest with y'all. Vassell needs to relax a little bit. And it's hard for me to sit here and second guess probably the greatest coach in NBA history, Greg Popovich. It's hard to second guess him because it seems like he would tell him, like, hey man, chill a little bit. But he hasn't. Every game I've watched so far, Vassell's out there with the green light shooting everything. And to me, it seems like they need to, instead of Vassell shooting 13 shots a game, um, it seems like he needs to reduce his shot to maybe 10 shots a game and then increasing Wembanyama's by maybe 4 or 5 shots every game because he is just shooting entirely too much. Um, and I saw Victor Wembanyama was actually third as far as shot attempts per game. That can't happen. Like, in my eyes, the person who should be the first option on the team is the person who creates the most mismatches. It's the person who has the most advantage over the person who's guarding him. And since Victor's able to shoot from all three faces of the court, 3-point line, mid range, and under the goal, and he can handle the ball, like he's an obvious mismatch. So he should be the first option. Right now, Vassell is the first option. It seems like he's the first and the second option. They just got to relax on that a little bit. I'm going to look up some stats real quick. Because there was some stuff that I saw, and I'm like, man, what is going on? But I do remember seeing that he was the third leading shot taker on the team, and that just can't happen. Yeah, Devin Vassell was first, and then Keldon Johnson was second. And they're like right there at 14 shots a game, each of them. But we need to get Victor Wembanyama far more attempts than that. I think he needs to be shooting more like 20 to 22 shots a game, somewhere in there. And then Vassell, he looks like a guy who probably is going to come off the bench in the next few years. This is probably a segment that I'm going to clip and use like 5 years now, and I can tell you, like, see, I was right. But Devin Vassell seems like a guy who's going to be like Jamal Crawford, Jordan Clarkson, that comes off the bench and they get the green light to shoot as much as they want to with the second unit. But I don't see him being a first unit guy for very much longer because he doesn't know what a bad shot is, man. I know it's like I'm just killing him. I'm not trying to do that, but that's just what I noticed watching those first few games. So yeah, the second reason why I don't think that they'll win a championship is they don't understand the pecking order. The third reason is because they're extremely young. Like, they have some really good pieces, and it looks like they might be able to grow together and do some things really well in the future. But as much as, like, player empowerment has jumped through the roof and people move and do all these different things on different teams and request trades and all that, it's hard to imagine having a team full of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds and then building them up and seeing them being 28, 29, and 30-year-olds. Real hard to imagine that happening. If anybody could pull it off, I guess it's the Spurs. They are probably the best run organization outside of the Warriors. But I don't see that happening. To me, it seems like they probably should trade for a vet, like how Andre Iguodala was these last few years before he retired. Somebody like that who can help them decipher who should be taking the first looks on the court and all that kind of thing. But they need something. They are just way too young to be. I think they're way too young to win a championship this year. So, okay, let's go ahead and pull up the championship odds meter. So let's go over that. The way that this works is an A plus is like the 2018 Warriors. Everybody knew they was going to win the whole thing when that team was put together in 2017. They won in 2017. And when 18 rolled around, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would have put all my money on them winning unless there was an injury. So that's an A plus, is the 2018 Warriors. An F on this meter is like the 2012 Charlotte Bobcats. They won 7 games and they were trash. Their best player was Corey Maggette. That was their best player for a season. So can you imagine Corey Maggette being somebody's best player? He couldn't hardly even be the best player on the Duke Blue Devils, let alone an NBA team. But anyway, so the rating that I'm giving the Spurs is a D plus, C minus, leaning more towards D plus. Reason why is because they do have way too many young players. They've got way too many things to learn, like the pecking order, who's shooting first. How do we get Victor Wembanyama involved in the offensive game? Is he going to be aggressive enough to create his own shots? or is he just going to sit around and wait until the fourth quarter like he's been doing these last few games and then get active then? So, yeah, solid. I wouldn't say solid, but C minus, maybe D plus. That's somewhere where they are. Um, if I was a Spurs fan, I would not be putting any money on them winning the championship this year. But they do have a crazy, crazy good player in Victor, though. He seemed like he's gonna be pretty well, more than pretty good. He's gonna be ridiculously good, especially here in the next couple of years. Well, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear your comments on it in the comment section. Love to read those. Um, we do have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's November 2nd. So that's not just on me, but that's also on you all, the viewers. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also tell your friends about it. Help me reach this 1,000 subscriber goal. Um, I own a few other businesses, and a lot of people that know me, they do know that when I create a goal, I almost always make it happen. So please help me with this. I'm sure we'll get there. That's all that I got for you today. So I appreciate you watching the video. As always, God bless. Take care.